questions. Good evening. Thank you everybody for coming. This is really great. An amazing turnout for our last Berlin Tech Meetup of the year. Florian and myself are thrilled that you are here. Sorry for everything taking slightly longer today. Every possible technical issue that any presenter could have did come up. So that's why we were running around like crazy chicken. You know, we always ask this question. Who's been here before? But today I have a very specific question. Who was here the last time? You remember last time we had these guys here from Dub Smash, and the people who were here, you remember that they were asking you to try this out, and you guys were like users number 15 to 50. And you know, I guess because you are all a bit interested in tech, you realize what was happening. I was emailing with the founder today, who couldn't be here because they are today #1 in the French App Store, and he's like afraid of his system dying once again. And they're close to 5 million downloads on Android only, and on iOS he wouldn't share. I don't know why. So I asked him if he couldn't come and to give you a little nice peek into things that can happen if you demo here, and then you're lucky. Then I guess what happens is what happened to them. We have a little message from him.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
All right, you see a lot of effort for something completely useless. Never mind. That's thanks to that dude. So anyhow, I know you guys don't come here to see our not so funny jokes, so we will just hand over to the guys from Hitfox, who are tonight kind enough to sponsor the drinks you're already drinking and the pretzels you have already eaten, and hopefully all of the drinks you will be drinking afterwards. They have a short message for you. Don't fall asleep. Of course, after that, it's 6 demos, 5 minutes, 5-minute demo, then 5-minute Q&A, and be generous and supportive for everybody who's facing technical difficulties. All right, the stage is yours. Hitfox, one of the premier startup incubators, company builders, whatever, but do think about them when you drink your beer.
Okay. Hi guys, thanks for the warm welcome. We're from Hitfox and we are really happy to sponsor this event. So just give me hands, who has heard of Hitfox before? Okay, quite a few. So we have some additional information. So because we are moving really fast. So first of all, who am I? Hi, I'm Peter. I'm a Chief Development Officer at Hitfox, and so I'm also a founder. I founded my own agency in the past, and so like a Ruby on Rails agency with 30 employees. And I started at Hitfox in May this year, and I'm currently building the bootstrapping team. So we're kicking off the new startup ventures, and we're building the technology behind that. So what is Hitfox doing? So we're a company builder, and we build successful companies on a global scale. So we have offices in San Francisco, in Berlin, and in Seoul, in South Korea. And yeah, so our head office is here in Berlin with quite a few employees. We're working with lots of entrepreneurial people, so like from all over the place. And so these are some stats about the company. So currently we founded 9 companies so far in 3 different markets with a profit of 50 million. So we are a startup, and so I think it's not happening so often that a startup already makes a revenue in such an early stage. So we are. So we are 3.5 years old. So actually, as I said, moving really fast. So we're currently more than 300 employees, and from 40 plus nationalities. And so how do we perform our business? So we pick high growth markets and transform within them synergetic company clusters. So we started with some kind of startup idea and transformed it by acquisitions and building our next companies to a edtech cluster. And so this is our newest move, I would say, that we also started in the fintech business. So we're kind of building applications and services for banking and insurance. And so you all know maybe from your own online banking experience. So me, I'm for example working with Deutsche Bank, and so I think they changed the online interface within the last 10 years 2 times, and I think the biggest update was to add some iPad functionality. And yeah, so the banks are moving pretty slow, and actually we provide them the opportunity to work with us and actually to build great products. And we are also quite innovative and building prototypes for completely new services. Yeah, we love technology, so this is just a run through our stack. So most of our backend applications are built with Ruby on Rails. Currently we're experimenting with some newer technologies. For example, so we are moving from AngularJS to React and Flux. And we're also experimenting with ClojureScript, so quite awesome technology. And yeah, so we always try to find the right technical solution for the problems that we want to solve. And so we're also not only throwing technology on our problems, we also try to do a lot of prototyping and use lots of software as a services. Actually, not to just build always the biggest solution in the very beginning. So starting first with small steps really makes sense. Yeah, we really care about culture. So this is a picture from CrossFit Challenge a few weeks ago. So this was a team event, and so like Tough Mudder and rubbing through the mud and running and making some experiments with foam. Yeah, so we really care about that, and also about our working culture. And I think we're doing a really good job there. What are we looking for? Well, we're always looking for entrepreneurial people who want to join our team. So since this is a tech meetup, so of course we also search for tech people joining our tech teams within Hitfox itself. So for example, in the bootstrapping team, but also within our portfolio companies. If you're interested, you can ask me and Sarah. So we're both sitting here in front. And yeah, so thanks. We wish you a nice evening, and yeah, talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Chirantan. I'm the developer at Senic. We're building Flow. How many of you guys have already heard about it? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so this is a freely programmable Bluetooth controller that we're building. It's a careful assembly of 3 major sensors. There is capacitive touch, there is a ring, and there is a fly sensor using infrared to detect hand gestures. What we're trying to do is map these natural gestures to your favorite shortcuts. So essentially think of this as like a hardware interface that is trying to correct some of the inadequate digital interfaces. So the most important application that we thought of initially was to use it for computers, wherever you can see the modern interfaces have evolved, and there's so many things that computers can do. All the menus are hiding inside menu trees or behind tabs or pop-ups. And it's not exactly very intuitive to get to those actions with your keyboard and mouse, sliders, and things like those. So we wanted to solve that problem, and this is something that we thought of. We're going to present a demonstration of a small prototype we quickly built, because most of our working prototypes are with our other colleagues in San Francisco. They're looking for investors there and promoting our campaign. The campaign that we launched was 2 weeks ago. It's an Indiegogo campaign. We met the goal in 3 days. We reached 200% in a week. It's still going on. We still need backers. So yeah, I'll hand over to Felix, and there's Q&A afterwards, so we can answer your questions and drive it like that. So over to you, Felix.
You actually have to hold the microphone for me. So this is just an example that we thought of that shows the problem. So I used the leap motion to model in 3D. And thing is, here you can see my right hand waving over the leap motion at the moment. And when I want to bake this geometry, at the moment it's a virtual geometry, I would have to actually like move here and like right click and then click on bake and then click OK. And another thing is, like if I want to like increase and decrease the size of the thing, I would have to like move that slider, which is really unnatural, right? And I want to like model with my right hand. So what Flow does, and Flow is right here at the moment, I can like use the ring to like increase, decrease the size of the cube and then bake it like freely in the space. And it's very intuitive, lets me model create stuff, and very convenient as well. Very, very fast. This is a lot of geometry. So what we're gonna do now is some like show some more use cases, and of course we shot a video for that. And I hope the sound is working. No, input jack is right here, but it's actually the wrong one here. So which one do I use?
Think about our hand.
Okay, there it is. It's working. Can we increase the volume a little bit? Yeah.
We never think about our hand. That's what makes it so fascinating. Its use is unconscious. Its precision incredible. Your interaction with technology should be the same, seamless and natural. That's why we created Flow, a carefully designed control that gives you a feel for the digital world. It is made for your hand. Haptic feedback, precision control, sensitive touch, and hand gestures. Many things in life are about flow. Music is less about menus and more about feel. Seamless, simple, and fun. Creative work is less about tools and more about ideas, precise and natural. Like our hand, these controls can be used in many ways, for games, movies, or electronic projects. We've built Flow on an open platform to allow developers to create even more controls. Flow's inspired design required new technologies to live up to its ideal. We now have a working prototype, and our local manufacturers are ready. And that's where you come in. We need your final feedback on the design, and certification, tooling, and materials are expensive. By backing Flow, you actively support the local manufacturing movement and help to launch a new generation of user interfaces that feel as seamless and natural as using your hand. Please support our campaign and share it with your friends. Thank you so much.
Cool, thanks. Questions, do we take a crowd? Questions? Yeah.
Okay, it's early stages, but the device is pretty big. But how small do you think you can get it? And can you get it on a watch?
It's a design question. He's the designer. I'll let him take over.
You want to have it on the watch. Okay, so I mean, to work in Photoshop, it's probably the wrong tool since you like need another free hand. So initially, it's for creative professionals that need it to be very precise and need it right on their table next to their tools that they're usually using. Yeah, thanks.
So I had a similar, no, not a similar thing, but using a trackball mouse, I tried to effectively customize what the scroll wheel was for. And I was wondering how comprehensive the customizability was for creating macros on it, and also how easy it was to do it for someone that maybe isn't so tech savvy.
So the wheel, you can argue that the wheel is doing the same thing as the scroll of the mouse, but this has many more accuracy points, and they're completely programmable, so that every time the wheel is turned, the device is going to send a signal that the wheel is turning, and you can actually tap into the sensitivity of the sensor as much as you want. So that's where, I mean, there can be programmable mice out there, but this is something that we thought this was much more natural for us. That's why we went for this.
Okay. Could you, I mean, do you have any more like use cases available to demonstrate? Like applications? Could you show us how it works with, let's say, Photoshop or any like 3D sculpting application?
We can show you a video, because like the other prototype that we have that is much more capable than the one that we have, and we already have shot a couple of use cases into videos, so we can show you if you want.
Thanks. So what was the biggest, the hardest problem, like the materials or getting the software right, or the hardware part? What's
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem is actually like to fit all the sensors in there, because we like made a lot of research on the right size, right? And we went with the one that fitted most hands. So that's the major challenge, to fit everything in there. Yes, but we can solve it.
So finding the right sensors and finding the right sourcing for it. Yeah. Like with hardware, everything becomes like more difficult. How do you solve it?
We have a very good electrical engineer.
Our electrical engineer, his family actually comes from a similar background. They have a company of manufacturing, so we had the privilege of using their services or their contacts, and so we were kind of lucky on that front. Yeah. We have time for one more question.
So I wonder how feasible would it be to use two devices at the same time, so one for each hand?
If you want to use them on the same surface, maybe there is a use case for DJs where they can have multiple of them and control the music with it. But as a professional, someone who works with computers, it's up to you. It's up to you if you can actually manage more devices on your desk. But we do encourage using multiple, but for different use cases. Like we also have a wall mount. So behind this, there's a wall mount. So you can maybe configure this forever for your smart home, for your music control, and always have it hanging on the wall. And so you can control the music with just a fly sensor, like next song, decrease the volume, or like dim the lights. So you can have one for dedicated to your maybe smart home, and one for your computer, maybe one for your office work.
Good. Thank you so much.
Hi. Sorry about that. OS X crashed. I don't know why. Fixed it now. So all of you here tonight knows how to install an app on a phone, probably. It's easy. You just open the App Store, find an app you like, try, click the install button, done. This is far from how it works on the internet today. To put something online, you need to understand how hosting works and how to write code and how to maintain it. This is what we want to change. We want to bring the same experience that we all come to love on our phones to the web. So that's why we created Jumpstarter. I'm Hannes, the co-founder and the CDO. So Jumpstarter, as you can see here, is an app store for the web. Like not apps as in apps that are running on your browser or in your phone, but apps that are actually running on the web. Developers can build apps on our platform and immediately start earning monthly revenue. Jumpstarter takes care of payments and hosting. So let's see how it looks like for app users. So each app in our platform has a page like this. So let's say an user, so they find this beautiful WordPress theme, can click around, see screenshots, and I'm gonna show you, we're actually live now, so I'm gonna show you now how it looks like. So basically, they just enter a subdomain that they wish that his apps should run on, and then they can start a trial to test it out with a single click of a button. So so it will get its own dedicated resources and everything. So they can just, now I'm gonna click this this home button here, and we're gonna go to the home page of this app. So this is a WordPress theme. Looks pretty cool, right? But let's say they also they want to make some changes. They want to actually use this blog. So we can go back, click this admin link here, and with a single click of a button, you can actually log into this WordPress blog and start blogging from it without managing passwords, without caring about managing logins, whatever, because it's integrated into Jumpstarter. So they can start, blogging immediately. This is like a dedicated container that runs this app. So how do we actually develop or build an app on Jumpstarter? Well, I wanted to show you how to do this right in front of your eyes, actually. So I'm going to create a new, so basically, Jumpstarter is container-based. You might have heard of Docker. They're using containers as well. We do too. So to build an app on Jumpstarter, you create a container for it. So I'm going to create a container now that I can actually use as the base for this app. And every app in Jumpstarter is using, it's now already running, and every app are using a dev container which they run a snapshot of. So as a developer, you can just update this and make a new snapshot to push the changes. So now I'm going to open the terminal, connect to this container. So it's like a Linux instance that is running, and I'm going to run a little install here. So we're going to install an app we already built. It's a reference to do app that we built for demonstration purposes. So this container here is running dedicated hardware for this app. So everything I'm doing now can be found in our documentation, but I'm running it as a script to speed things up. So looks like Node is running and listening. So we're gonna go ahead and actually visit these apps on the browser. You can see here Node getting requests. And it's actually integrated into our login system. So I'm going to log in, which is basically using our login system, so you don't need passwords and stuff. And basically, I'm going to use that to do app. So I'm gonna add an item, have a presentation at Berlin Tech Meetup. Maybe answer questions. Yeah, so this is an app, it's now running, and basically I can now actually start to sell this app by adding it into the marketplace and start earning recurring revenue. And we're also looking for app developers. So sign up and try to build an app today. Questions?
Sorry, it was not really clear for me which kind of technologies you can use in the container.
It's Linux generic, so you can actually build it in, use whatever binary you want. But the technologies, the stacks that we support and package for containers right now are Node and PHP.
Okay, thanks.
Apps, we just launched for developers 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we have about 5 published apps right now that you can trial, but we're working on the payment solution and things, so we will soon open up for end users, so they can actually start paying for apps.
I want to ask, what kind of end user do you have in mind?
Our end users are pretty much, we don't want them, are you asking about their technical level or if there's some, initially we're focusing on people that want WordPress themes or to use WordPress as a CMS because we have very good WordPress theme support in the beginning. But I mean, any user, if you build an app in our platform, the target users for that app are our target users. Actually, we actually hosted our own website in the early phase of the company in Jumpstarter, but we're not doing that anymore. We were more of a hosting company back then. Now we're an app platform.
Thank you so much.
This is actually my favorite of all of the startup meetups in Berlin because the classical advice is never do a live demo, and this is composed entirely of live demos. Yeah, so my name's Will. I'm the head of product for Klara. As Gabriel mentioned, we're an e-health company. We started in Berlin, and now we're targeting the US market. And what I'm going to give you today is just a quick live demo of our product. A little bit of backstory first, though. Klara solves a problem of when you go to your doctor, they tell you what's wrong with you and give you the medication you need to fix it, and then you have to come back 2 weeks later, sit in their waiting room for an hour, to go into the office and have them tell you, that's looking much better, you can go now. So we solve that problem. We do it with, thank you. You'll have to unlock your iPad for me as well. We do it with a native iOS and Android app, which looks like this. So this is my rash on my hand that I submitted to my doctor, who is me. I asked myself a question as a doctor because I looked at my photos of my hand, visible here, and it looks fine, despite me describing it as itching, coming and going, and being on my hand. So Klara acts as a communication channel between the doctor and the patient, and it's supposed to fill the gap between when you first go to your doctor and you tell them what the problem is, and then going back to the doctor 2 weeks later. So I can answer my question from my doctor. And tell them my mistake. And completely avoid having to go into the doctor. The other half of this, if you'll bear with me for a moment, this is the difficulty of doing a live demo for a 2-part app. One side is for the doctor and one side is for the patient. And 1 second. Thank you. These lovely parrots are the doctor's vision of my particular medical problem. Nearly there. So this is the doctor app that the patient gets to use, that the doctor gets to use. I can see here the complete medical record of my patient, which is that I'm 27 and male. And I've taken 2 excellent pictures of my hand. And when I asked them if they were sure they had a rash, they said, my mistake. So at this point, I can diagnose the case and tell them, you have eczema, and give them a description of eczema, a skincare plan, advice on whether or not to visit a doctor, which is visit a dermatologist if it gets worse, if you decide you actually do have a problem. And I can go right ahead and diagnose my case, and then even schedule a charged follow-up. So it gives doctors and patients a way of taking their entire relationship online. And as we build out more features of the product, more interactions are becoming possible. We're at the moment working on adding some exciting new stuff, HIPAA-compliant messaging, like what Facebook Messenger gives you, except with your doctor. So anytime you're, say, overseas, you can talk to your doctor directly. The ability to do video calls, and a host of other cool things. Any questions?
Thanks. So this is not HIPAA compliant yet, right? Like
it is HIPAA compliant.
So,
well, not me showing you medical records,
okay.
but this is just my personal fake doctor account.
Nice.
And it's a picture of my hand, and I granted permission to share those pictures.
Nice.
HIPAA is a federal regulation in the US governing the use of protected medical data. It essentially says what security considerations you have to have, what reliability constraints there are, and tells you not to share patient data with anyone.
Hi, I have a quick question. So what are you doing exactly on onboarding and I'm over here.
Ah.
Right. So back to the question is that what are you doing onboarding the doctors? So clearly you need the supply side, and what are you working on? What kind of tactics or strategies you guys are using?
It's almost a business question.
Almost. We have a sales team in the US, which is composed of one of the founders and a couple of other guys, and they're going to all the conferences and all that jazz.
Thanks.
So sorry, this is maybe a business question. So,
hello.
What about liability? So when someone is sending a photo of a birthmark and it turns out like months later after your doctor said it's okay, that it's maybe cancer or something?
That's an excellent question. The short answer is the onus is on the doctor to provide accurate medical information.
Okay.
The slightly longer answer is that every doctor in our system is a board-certified dermatologist, and they are really good. We vet them all. They know exactly what they're doing, and they primarily treat their own patients after they see them physically.
Okay, thanks.
So I got a question here behind the pillar. You can't really see me, so don't worry. I'll just try and talk clearly. From the doctor's perspective, they're always short of time, right? Why are they going to sit here typing on a computer when they want to be talking to patients? And my answer to my own question, and please disagree with me, is maybe within their own practice they can basically subcontract their own time to another doctor and say, can you answer this? Can you answer this? And maybe that could work. Is that something you see happening?
It's certainly a potential use case. What we have seen happening so far is that this actually gives doctors a more efficient way of dealing with their patients. So rather than having 30 people sitting in their waiting room waiting and then seeing them one by one, they can look through all their cases, pick out the ones that are in real trouble, and for the rest of them, they can start allocating their time and really quickly answering questions and deciding whether or not they need to come in for a physical visit, and getting all of the overhead that having someone physically in your office entails.
Okay, thanks.
One more question.
So I send in my picture, I get a diagnosis, and then I need treatment. How do I get a prescription?
That depends on whether you're in Europe or the US. If you're in the US, the doctor snaps their fingers and you get one. If you're in Europe, there are actual regulations and you have to go to the doctor. Yes, and like every other company here and in Berlin, we are looking for developers, particularly JavaScript and Ruby devs. So if you're interested, come talk to me.
Cool, thank you so much.
So I have a bit of a cold, as you might hear, but hopefully it works with the talking. So I'm Felix from Quobyte. We founded 1.5 years ago as we're doing a bit of a different thing. So we're not doing consumer stuff. We're doing enterprise, business-to-business software licenses, which is a bit of an old school thing probably nowadays for startups. I'll give you a bit of an introduction. So what we're doing is next generation software storage. Currently the storage market is mostly big, expensive appliances from the likes of NetApp and EMC. They're really expensive, they're really big, and yeah, that's really enterprisey stuff. So the good news for everyone is that servers have become really powerful in the last years, and with intelligent software you can make them good storage systems. That's something that, for example, Google pioneered, where you have huge clusters in many, many data centers that are fully automated and managed by basically a few people. These clusters are standard off-the-shelf hardware running intelligent software on top of that, and we're basically doing the storage part of that intelligent software part. So it's a file system, which I read is after networking the most unsexy thing on earth. So I'm showing that not as a demo, we actually have a UI, but that's basically the experience you get, and that's the experience you want as an enterprise user. It basically, the mount points look and act like normal file systems. So you can run MySQL on it, you can store your files on it, you can run web service on it, anything. Let me show you the UI to get so that you get a better idea. That's that one. So our system basically takes standard Linux servers, just Linux servers with what it's called a JBOD configuration, so just direct attached disks, no RAID. This is now a smaller demo or a staging installation in our company. Basically on the lower, does it load? And on the lower end, you basically have plain servers, right, with hard disks attached, and they're basically your anonymous resources. You don't care what data is on those hard disks. You don't care how the servers are named. These are just anonymous, uninteresting resources for you. Then you have the software layer between that, and on top what you're getting is what we call volumes. These are basically separate file systems that you can mount anywhere. It's basically like a Windows folder or a Linux mount point. You can put stuff there. Where the stuff is stored is basically not determined by any constraints of the system. So you can define policies that determine the placement. You can say, okay, virtual machines go to those SSD drives. My cold files go to certain large hard drives and things like that. You can change that dynamically. Data can be moved while it's being accessed. And the whole system is what's called split brain safe, fault tolerant. So you can really pull any plug in the system, shut down any server and do anything. And the data consistency is never at stake. And usually also your availability. So it's doing automatic failover if a server breaks or a hard drive fails and things like that. probably on the dashboard you see a bit of things. There's currently not too much traffic. I started what we call the scrub, which checks all checksums of all data. It's currently taking 200 mega or pulling 200 megabytes per second. It's a pretty small installation, 14 terabytes. You see spindle utilization, disk utilization, I/O load, things like that. Yeah, I think that's more or less what's visible from the system. So at the core, it's a lot of high tech. We started with this stuff in 2006 in the institute. The system we worked on was called ExtremeFS. That's an open source file system. Then basically at Google continued working on storage. Now founded 1.5 years ago and want to basically change enterprise storage. Yeah. Maybe we can turn to the question part. I think that's
Hi. Do you know what Ceph is?
Yes.
How does this compare to Ceph?
It actually works and is usable in production.
Okay.
So it's a technical audience, right, or meant to. Comparison, most importantly, we're real parallel distributed file system. So these are POSIX files. You can really run MySQL, SAP HANA, Oracle on top of that. Ceph is, in its current incarnation, a block storage system. Then Ceph has one architectural problem that the placement of data. So it takes the data, puts basically makes little blocks out of it, and then spreads that via hash function. And if one of the servers go down, the hash function changes, and you have to rehash all the stuff and move it, which basically gives you a huge storm. The whole system is busy then for hours, probably, in some cases. The larger installation, the worse it gets. So it needs more expensive hardware, and basically it's not feasible for production because of that. The another thing is that we're doing basically unconstrained placement, so you can really save basically on file level where this stuff is being put. So you can really put a virtual machine image, which is within the file, on SSDs, then take a snapshot. The snapshot is being moved to a hard drive and things like that.
Okay. See, one simple question also. Does it scale to petabytes?
Yeah, easily. We have a 1 petabyte installation with Lenovo currently. Stuff like that runs at Google at much higher sizes.
So you mentioned that it's the next generation kind of file system. Does it have any form of transaction-like mechanics like Google's GFS, or is it the plain old POSIX commands you can use?
The Google file system GFS, you're right. It was a bit of a special thing, right? It wasn't a real POSIX file system. What it had is this distributed append for records. Google is actually not using that anymore. That's the successor is called Colossus and works differently. So we're not doing any of that. We're doing really act like local files kind of storage.
Oh, one more question. How do you interface in Linux? Is it the kernel client or is it Fuse?
So what we're saying we're doing unified storage. So the product is called Unified Storage Plane, by the way, because we're not seeing as a siloed storage thing that you run on a couple of servers, but we want to take all storage hardware and mediate all access. On top, we have a Fuse interface. We have NFS, S3 object storage, Hadoop. Yeah.
Thank you.
Enterprise, talk to our sales guy.
Is there a backup solution like a slave master architecture?
Yeah, internally there's something like that. So what we're doing is, we're doing currently only replication. Reed Solomon is on the roadmap for Q1. For replication, we have 3 replicas. It does quorum replication, and when you access the file first on any of those 3 storage servers, it does a lease negotiation with Paxos, And then this is then the fault-tolerant master. The least is basically valid for 30 seconds or so, and then it does all I/O over that. If it fails, there's a new lease negotiation and stuff fails over and things like that. So it's basically from the replication pattern, it's the star thing, right? You write to the master, which replicates every write to the slaves.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for having us. I'm Alex, here's Sebastian. What we offer is like a one-click solution for unplugging and focusing. It sounds a bit, it's always difficult to explain it to a tech crowd, that there are people out there who want to go offline and they struggle with going offline and they want to be less connected. And what we offer is a button. It might connect to the other one button, so you've got the physical button to press in the future at one point to really go offline and to focus out. We did a study and it shows when people use like Offtime for a week, they can focus better, they can disconnect from work and detach better, and they are more motivated at work as well. The core technology is like a context-sensitive device management, where you've got different profiles you can manage, and it's also a bit of quantify self, where you can really also track how you use your mobile, because many people, when you ask them how much do you use your mobile, they say like 1 hour. When you really look at it, it's like 3 hours on average. We are live on Android. We show an Android demo in a minute. We are live since 2 months. We've got 200,000 downloads. We are featured as one of Google's best apps of 2014. We are partnering with Swisscom. They just launched their Grey Label version, and the next platform currently is in development, iOS in a limited version, but the big vision, and we are also looking for a CTO who takes us there and helps us to take us there, is really to be on all devices, also when there are more wearables and everything, that you have this one button you press and everything is out. Shall we look? Yes.
Because it's apparently very difficult to connect an Android device to a projector, dude, it's called Offtime. I get to... Or Florian gets them. No. Okay, here we go. That's you, people.
They don't even clap for themselves. So what you can do, like on there is Offtime running. There are 2 parts. One part is really the quantify self element. It tracks how often you unlock your device. Today I had 107 unlocks. I used my phone 77 times. 35 points of my Offtime score. Normally healthy is between 60 and 80, so I'm not doing very well. I called the most with my girlfriend. That's nice, she likes to hear that, I guess, and to see that. Yeah, you see the sessions I had today, which apps I used, the contacts, some highlights. When you use, like really when you want to take off time, you can use different profiles to get them up and running. We've got a wizard. So you can select if you really want to hide like notifications, if you want to block calls and SMS. There's a VIP list. People not on the VIP list, they get a nice message back when you are online again or back again. You can also like restrict access to apps. And you can even, like when you select apps, you can even select how the hurdle will be. And you can select right now, I've got to select that when I want to exit it, it takes an hour, 1 minute until I get back again. But you can also select that you've got to wait and until the time is up. So it's really like a tech timeout for the time you choose it. So at one point you're up and set. You can then choose the time, like how long I want to have focused work. You start it and then it's running, so when there are incoming calls, you get the reply. And when you want to use apps, it often tells you, no, you're not allowed right now to use the tech.
Let's try this. He's calling you.
I hope your latest alpha build is working. It works. I mean, he is on the whitelist because he's my co-worker.
Probably those are the ones you should should not have on your whitelist?
In the evenings, I shouldn't have them on the whitelist. When I want to get back, there's really like the delay. In the evenings, I really like, I just got father, and I really have like, I downgrade my phone in the evenings to a dumb phone until the next morning 8 o'clock to really be there and not be, when I'm bored, I look at the phone and then half an hour is gone and it's half an hour I haven't seen my daughter like growing up. So I really force myself into those off times. Yeah, that's basically it.
Hi, I have just one question. How does it work on iOS or Windows Phone? Do you plan to move it to some other platforms as well?
It's difficult on iOS, like the tracking and also the call blocking. So there will be a light version which will be more like a gamification element, which motivates people not touching their phone and really using the flight mode. We're hoping that Apple is opening up, like there's like connected car elements and there are more and more APIs opening because a huge issue is like safety and driving. So there will be coming similar solutions in there. And
yeah.
Are you planning on building a widget to make it more easier to turn it offline?
There is actually a widget in there, and I can also, no, I'm back there, you don't see it. There's a widget to use it. We also try to populate the mute button and bring just like quick access that it's more convenient to use it, yes.
Probably just download it.
Yeah, go to the Android store, download it, use it. It's free for now.
For now, we click.
What technology is it built in?
It's a standard Android application made in Java. And as Android allows you to kind of hook into different things that are happening in the system, then it uses just mostly standard things, except for a couple undocumented features that, well, you can also make use of, but it's quite standard.
I think the biggest challenges are still like to use tech to control tech, because tech is normally not designed that you control it in a sense. Everybody builds it that it's very stable and closed in some way. So.
Do you see any patterns in the user behavior? How long is the average of time they request?
When we've been in beta phase, it was like 3.5 hours on average. We had like users which used it, like 30% used it 7 times and more per week. So quite frequently right now, since we are live, those numbers went down. Like 80% of the users are using the quantify self elements. 20% of them are using really like tuning out, switching off. Of those 20%, we've got like 25% which are very active, with 3 times and more per week to use it. And we hope to increase this when we've got more scheduling elements, just increase the convenience level. And the API, of course, like having a really like a profile-based communication filter, like not a technical firewall, but a social firewall in the future might be very happy, like when you look at Pomodoro stuff and many other elements, and yeah, you move somewhere, you go to school, and your school, like for kids, your school profile is there, or you're at home, and then it just activates, and you're at home, and you don't have access to your work stuff, and your colleagues can't call, so there are the benefits in there to be really this layer, this communication layer in there.
Hi, maybe a stupid question, but as you say, if you put your phone in flight mode, it's basically the same, or is different?
It's different in a sense that the flight mode didn't have any, a flight mode is a flight mode for the plane. It's not used or designed for really like be a effective solution, and most of the times you don't want to switch the phone completely off, because there are always people who want to reach you and you want to be connected in a sense, and the question is not if you want to use tech or not, it's the question how and when you use it. And the question is there, like, can you downgrade your phone for a specific case, in a sense of not being distracted there in some elements. And most people, they use the flight mode, but then it's too limited again, and it has many, many drawbacks. And many apps and people use it. There are so many offers to get you online. So every system is gamified for bringing you back online.
One more question. And flight mode does not block applications, which Offtime does.
Take some off time. Enjoy the evening. No, they don't. When they finish, they look on their phone. It doesn't take 30 seconds until everybody looks at the phone again. I bet you've got already, you feel it, that you want to check your emails.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for the demo.
You know, I'm looking for a developer who's solving this, because in every presentation it's happening somehow. So before I start, sorry for the dress. I did 6 VC presentations today. And so the good news is that we have a lot of money and options to spend to good developers. And I will luckily present to you today Cashboard and what we do. And Cashboard is a simple tool for online investing. So you have an account where you can invest from 1,000 euro and you get a diversified portfolio with automated management. So no matter if markets rise or fall, your money is managed due to your profile, to your things. What makes us unique, what is the secret sauce behind is that, and I did this pitch quite all over Europe the last half a year, is that there's currently no platform in the world who is offering the whole range of investing on one platform. So you have platforms where you can invest into cash, into funds, into ETFs like Wealthfront and Nutmegs, and you have, of course, Bitcoin platforms and peer-to-peer lending platforms, etc., etc. But from a user perspective, from an investor perspective, this is all a hassle. Yeah, you know, thousands of platforms, thousands of logins, thousands of conditions, and we are basically the Kayak and Trivago, the My Muesli of finance. Yeah, quite simple. What differentiates us in addition is that we don't send you to the product. Yeah, we have a completely integrated platform. Yeah, so you don't see anything from the products behind, from their platforms, their logos, their logins, etc., etc. So all the investing, all the managing of your assets is done on our platform. We have a KYC process and a one face to the customer, and this makes us unique currently. And behind there's an own technology, and it's basically that Cashboard is your dashboard for finance. So your deposits and your investments are in a secure bank account with state deposit insurance. But with Cashboard, you have an access to the whole market. And so you use this platform solely to engage with your financials, and you need no other account, basically. Yeah. The process is quite simple. You have a curation process, which you answer some questions when you get a proposal on your portfolio. You are able to open the account completely online. Yeah, so we will introduce, currently we are still working with Postident, yeah, some note, the Germans at least, and we will introduce in January a complete online version which does the identification via video, and you will sign the account opening on your mobile with a finger. And you start the investment with only one click. How does it look like in the back end? So the name Cashboard is Dashboard for Finance. Yeah, so you have a high-level management platform for your investments. The platform is aggregating all the data, all the investments of your account behind. And you have a kind of drill-down principle. So you can, it's not limiting you, but you can click on your funds in real estate, and you get through, and you come to the single product. So it's completely, you can completely go down into and deep dive into the investments, and you can of course do all the transactional stuff on the website. Yeah, and maybe you didn't. Too much business, okay. I just wanted to mention that since we are hiring developers and CTOs, if you want to work in a company which will go live on TV in half a year, that maybe is a kind of additional motivation. Yeah. Yeah. So I think this was below 5 minutes. Okay. So at least one thing. The slides. Okay. Any questions?
Thanks for sharing. I'm just wondering, is it limited to one currency, or you can actually work with different currencies at once?
So the technology is completely open in a way that currently we are operating in the German-speaking market. We are growing with some 100,000 euros by week currently. But currently you can use it in the German-speaking market with the euros, but we are able to expand because the technology platform is completely open, and we will go to France, UK, etc. next year very quickly. So it's not a matter of currency, it's not a matter of country where you are based. Yeah, the technology is quite open, but we are able to plug in basically every bank and every nation in continental Europe.
Hi, I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on how you get to the investments that you end up with. So you're talking about the questionnaire at the beginning about kind of assessing our personality almost, and then does that recommend investments which we can then take on your advice and then we can add our own, or how does it work?
Yeah, exactly. So what we're offering on the platform is you have all these investments. So for example, we have a data on our platform of over 20,000 funds, all the stocks which are available, of peer-to-peer lending projects, etc., etc. And the process is that we have a creation process, so you answer some questions, and based on these questions, there's an algorithm which calculates the optimal portfolio for you, live.
Sorry, so is that like assessing how risky you want the investment to be?
For example, yeah, for example, so the creation process is trying to find out your motivation, how to invest your money. Yeah, and currently it's very basic. We are on a beta state still, but the technology behind, there's an algorithm, and which is able, for example, that you have a kind of thing where you do like if you want to invest short term or more long term, risky or not, and based on these data, on these variables you are bringing into the platform, the algorithm is calculating in real time based on the investments behind an optimum portfolio for you. And then you get a proposal for that portfolio, and of course you are able to change it afterwards as well. Yeah.
Can I? Oh, thank you. So since your main product is actually not the interface but the platform, right? Exactly. I would say so. So are you going to offer an API for others to build on top of the platform?
Exactly. So that is one of our projects for the next year. That currently we are using the APIs of our product partners and the banks, and currently we are aggregating them and offering an own API, because already now product partners and banks are approaching us and want to work together with us. And of course, it's a hassle that we use their APIs, and the next step will be an own API. Yeah, okay. Next step will be mobile, etc., and that's why we are hiring basically. But the point which you mentioned is very, very important. We are not a web portal; we are a platform. Yeah, so I know it's boring from a developer point of view, but simply imagine the complexity of Kayak or of Trivago in terms of doing a flight or something like that. Imagine that for financial transactions, real time, and all these things on a platform. Yeah? And this is what we are doing basically. So we are not a fintech startup, we are a fintech startup.
I mean, I would say it's totally not boring from a developer standpoint.
It's what?
It is completely not boring from a developer standpoint. So
I'm happy to hear this. Thank you.
Hi. So I'm over here on your left. All the way to the left, yeah. So I have two questions actually. The first is you started talking about like a managed investment, but I actually don't hear any elements about this management. Are you just referring to the curation process, or is there something else, something more to it? My second question is maybe less technical, but more legally technical. What is your actual status? Are you a brokerage company? Are you a banking service? Or like, what are you legally, and what kind of protection that gives to the users? Thank you.
So the first question, of course, there's much management of the portfolio behind. I deleted the slides because I wanted to have not so much product benefits on it. But for example, what management for us mean is a 24/7 approach where the portfolio management, risk protection, tax harvesting is completely done automatically. Yeah, so if you say, no matter how I investing, what is in my portfolio, I'm traveling into holiday next week and I want to have a maximum drawdown of 7.5%, no matter if there will be a war in Europe. Yeah, you can travel there and your portfolio is managed according to this. And as soon as the markets will fall, the portfolio is automatically rebalanced and managed according to your preferences. And this is completely done automatically. And this is the source behind the algorithm, which I mentioned, because you have to understand the financial markets and you have to do the technology, of course. And the second question, we have a regulation by the German banking authorities, which gives us a pretty much good, Vorsprung, advantage, thank you to other fintech startups, because we can do pretty much sexy things ourselves. I bet the last question was where to meet and where to do the application. So we are sitting at Invalidenstraße, corner Chausseestraße, and I would be really happy to meet you. And I can assure you in the office I'm dressed more convenient. Ah, okay.
What's your favorite color?
What?
What's your favorite color?
Color. Well, it's not blue, I have to admit. It's red, but I don't get the sense. So yeah, red.
First of all, way to end the year. Thanks a lot. Whoever comes for the first meetup in 2015, it will be very hard to get to that level of questions. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for enduring all the difficulties and setup, etc. You guys know we do this for fun. We do this by definition to not be professional. And every piece and bit, you realize it's not professional. But we're really glad that you're coming. We're really glad that you enjoy all of this. And as you heard, Hitfox had this great 2013 profit, which I translate into make sure there's no beer left. And they can deploy all of the money they want to deploy. I think this is a great command and order. Thank you so much to the vertical media guys and girls, more girls than guys actually, for all the help this year. The Mobilesuite for hosting us again and again. And obviously you guys for coming. If you have feedback, give us feedback on the Meetup platform. It really does help us a lot. And hope to see you all next year. Thanks so much.